Hey, welcome back to my personal psychiatry session, maybe? I don't know. I'll go with it, why not? I think this morning on the way to work, to be honest with you, trying to figure out why I'm so emotional right now. I think it's because it's hard to put it into words, because once you put it into words, it's like you're settling on that's how it is, but inside your head it's always changing. You think this is why, but then you're like, no, well it's kind of this. Well, no, it's kind of this. In your head, it's a constantly evolving flux of feelings, of thoughts. So it's really hard to actually put words to it, because in your head it's an amorphous blob of just constantly evolving emotions and thoughts that are all intertwined. So when you try to pick out one single spaghetti noodle out of that pile of noodles, it's hard to grab just one and decide on a path. So I'll just go with my biggest frustration point of today, which I don't know, paints me as narcissistic, maybe. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm sorry for the pauses. I guess I should be thinking out loud. That's what the purpose. Okay. I think growing up, I had it in my head that if I knew facts, nobody could say, "No, you're wrong," or because I had the facts. I could point it out and say, "No, I'm right. Here's the numbers. I know I'm right, even though you say I'm wrong." I never wanted to be wrong. I asked how stuff worked. I wanted to know how it worked. And being right worked for math. I could be right in math. Nobody could dispute it. I was right. No matter how you figured it out, I was right. I could do it with a calculator. See, I was right. But then when you get to history, everything we've ever been taught, I've tried looking into it. Everything we've ever been taught is not like math. It's not, this is how it happened. It's not, this is why we did this. This was the cause of this. This was the outcome. None of that is factual. Every single war, every single skirmish the U.S. has ever been in, almost all global problems were talked about. All of the energy crises, the weather changes, hell, NASA, for God's sakes. Once you start looking into anything, you realize it's all a manipulation. Everything. From the stuff you're putting in your mouth that they call food, to the stuff you're putting on your back that you think is quality. Every single aspect is manipulated. And we're all kept scared. And anytime any one of us looks into it and realizes, hey, there's no reason to be scared. You get knocked down. You get made fun of. People get angry at you. When you point out, hey, the towers didn't get blown up by a terrorist that, will at any moment try to kill the rest of us. It was brought down by rich people trying to keep us scared. Oh, that's anti-American. Really? Has anybody ever looked into any of this shit? No. I don't think a lot of them have. And if they have looked into any of the stuff, any of it, they would have found out that as soon as you stray away from the big names like Wall Street Journal, New York Times, MSNBC, Fox, as soon as you stray away from the big name corporate-owned information sources, like for instance, if you start studying the CIA Vault, which is Freedom of Information Act information, you realize it was all a lie. But nobody gives a shit. Nobody will look at it even though you've got the proof. The only thing that matters is what people have been talked into groupthink believing, and they'll talk you right out of doing what's right. That's where we live. A 6'1", 240-pound guy named Patrick, who suddenly decides, you know, I really don't like being a mediocre wrestler. And I'm not, against going out with guys. I'm going to go ahead and go transitional and call myself Patty. And I'm going to start competing in women's wrestling. So now you got a mediocre guy who wanted to be the world's best at wrestling, but has been talked into, hey, it's okay to think you're a woman. You can go ahead and do whatever women do. You can even compete with women. So now this guy's got it in his head that it's okay to pretend like you're a girl to beat the pants off of them so you can be the winner. No, I won. It doesn't matter that you're a girl and I'm a guy physically. No, it doesn't matter. I won. I identify as a woman. Therefore, you have to ignore my superior muscular structure or my thicker bone density. You have to ignore that. That's what we live in. And the news, the goddamn TV that 60% of America still watches for information, that thing is telling everybody that it's okay. If you look into the schools, the teachers that have tenure, a lot of the teachers that have tenure are not experts in the broader subject they teach. They're experts in one focalized central field where they've memorized the facts to one specific scenario, but they have to memorize those facts in a way that, paints a good picture. So if they memorize anything that's not what paints a good picture for the intellectual community to maintain, then they don't get tenure because they're not going to keep the sham going. It's all a manipulation. That's why the U.S. keeps continually dropping in all of our scores educationally. That's why our income keeps dropping. Because people are getting stupid as hell. They've stopped trying to think. They only listen to what they're told to think. They jump immediately on emotional responses. If you throw out something and say, hey, look, this is what I found. Does this make any sense to anybody? Oh, why are you watching? Why are you reading that stuff? Fox told me that it's because of this. Or MSNBC says Obama did this. But they don't realize any of... Jesus. I'm really debating hard getting medicated, but I know if I do, I'll become just as goddamn dumb as the rest of them. But when you live in a post-fact society, what other goddamn choice do you have? You can be a smart guy who's viewed by the world as crazy and who can't remember shit and who's scatterbrained. And not one person will look into the shit that you're talking about to see if you really are crazy. Not one. I mean, yeah, I've got friends who do, but a lot of them are like me. Unless they're talking to me, they keep it to themselves. I'm the only person that they admit, yeah, I'm kind of looking into this shit too. Be vocal. How the hell else do you think we fix this shit? We gotta speak up. Our silence is our consent. All right. I feel better. I do feel better. It's rough, I'm sorry. I know I should probably pause it during the uncomfortable long pauses where I'm fighting off bawling like a baby. Part of it's laziness. I just don't want to have to reach down and hit the button, restart it. But part of it is me wanting to let you guys know how it feels. Yeah, I know not everything on the internet is real. I know a lot of it is put out there as misinformation. But I know that about 70% of it, maybe more, isn't manipulation. For every major thing that comes out in the news that people are like, oh my God, look at the conspiracy. Oh, geez. That might be 60% lies. It very well could be 60% lies. But there's a grain of truth in every one of these stories that comes out. There's a grain. So if you start picking the story apart, you'll find out, oh no, that's fake. Oh, no, that's fake. Hey, wait. That checks out. So when you find that little kernel that checks out, then you're like, oh my God. Because you start digging more. And the more you dig, the more kernels of truth you find. Eventually, the kernels all start connecting. The little kernels of truth that are stuck in all of this manipulation in one-sided stories, you start getting a picture. And that picture is that, at least in my eyes, Western civilization, everything that's controlled by U.S. banking and Wall Street and international bankers, the World Bank, every bit of the financial institutions used in Western society is controlled by certain families who we've been made to forget about. Like the Oppenheimers. Yeah, that's a name you haven't heard since probably high school. The Oppenheimer Fund. The Rockefellers, the Warburtons. Yeah, he was the guy who was he's the one who gave the cartoon artist the idea for Daddy Warbucks in Richie Rich. Daddy Warbucks, the super rich bastard with the monocle, that's Daddy Warbucks. The idea for that cartoon came from the Warburton family. Look at the super rich families from the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. From the early 1900s, look at the families that controlled the majority of the wealth globally. You've got royal families in Europe, lots of wealth there. You've got the businessmen in the US, and it almost appears as if a prince from France, with the last name possibly of Pessoa, came over to the US with oodles and oodles of money because he was a prince, and then he would give lots of monies to certain individuals to run companies. Like, money was given to the Rockefellers to run a certain company, but it wasn't really given to the Rockefellers themselves. It was given to the wife or the daughter of the Pessoa that the Rockefeller married, because guess what? Now the name Pessoa isn't connected to that money. Then you've got, families like the Clintons. You've got families like the Bill and Melinda Gates. All of the super rich families that we know of, look into their history. Look into who they married. Look into their genealogies. Ancestry.com. There's people out there spending their own money that they earned to look up the ancestry of these people and post it online so that people in the US don't have to do the same. There's people spending their own money to do this for us, yet 90% of the people here don't even look. Don't even try, because that would take effort, when instead they could just sit back and let the news come to them. They can just pick a channel that suits their general thought path, and they can stay on that channel and just ride that thought out to the end. But all of the thought paths contradict each other. So Republicans think Democrats are idiots. Liberals think Republicans are greedy bastards who want to enslave everybody. The news only shows Republicans the most extremist liberals and Democrats, and it only shows Democrats the most extreme Republicans. I've been to Chicago. My phone newsfeed changes when I get to big cities. When I'm in big cities, the news I see is not the same as the news I see in Ohio, in DeGraff. It's a different set of news stories. People don't listen because they don't think it interests them and there's nothing they can do to change it. Wake people up! Make them see it! Once you see it, all the humdrum shit that's kept you busy for 90% of your waking life, aside from work, all that bullshit that you've been doing, just, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna go buy this, I'm gonna put this on, I think I want to buy one of these. All of that has been programmed into you. From what you think you should look like, to what you should be wearing, to what your attire is for certain restaurants, to what name brand of shit you should have on your feet. Yeah, I used to be one of them that was materialistic and name brand driven because I thought it meant something. I thought it would help me fit in with society. It didn't. When you point out how cheap this shit is and how it's really made, you're made fun of. that I've transitioned from crying to slightly angry, I'm going to get off here. So, I've got to get to work, and I'm not sure where it'll go from here. I think slightly angry going to work is better than, crying. So, auf Wiedersehen! Good morning and hell, good night, whatever time zone you're in while you're watching this. Hell, it might be 2023, but by then YouTube will have taken down anything that didn't say, our leader is great. Our leader saved the planet. God bless our leader. Yeah, because that's what it looks like we're headed to. Because nobody will listen. And that's what the news sure as shit wants. Please give us all of your money because you breathe. Therefore, you're warming up the climate. And all of this snow that's around you is because of global warming, you horrible, horrible individual. Thank you, and have some more fluoride with your vaccinations. Enjoy.